Hey guys, Coach John here. I'm all about helping you make the right moves for your business. And today we're going to cover funding acquisition strategies. That's just a big word statement for how can you get money to launch your idea or expand your business. Now back in August, I published a Kindle book called Checkmate, Winning Tactics for Translating Ideas into Money. And thanks to many, it became a bestseller. The hard copy will be released next week. And I've been hard at work building an online course that goes with the book. And to that extent, I sent out a survey asking for topics that absolutely must be included in the course. And I received a boatload of responses. And so today I'm going to address funding your business, because funding showed up in multiple survey responses. Now I'm going to address all of the responses to ensure that the course delivers amazing value. And as luck would have it, I had a funding discussion with a client this week, so the topic is really timely. Now when we're starting out, we often have more time than money, and accordingly we'll have to use our time to perform the legwork. If you don't have the capital, though, if you don't have what you need, you're going to have to get it from somewhere else. And I can't say I know all the resources for capital, but I certainly know a few. And if those of you watching this video know of others, or I need to include other revenue sources, please leave your thoughts in a comment below. Okay, so let's get started. If you're in need of capital, then you need to find a source that has the level of capital that you need. To that extent, you'll need to identify your top prospects. And this is just like identifying your target in your marketing activity. Instead of selling your products or services, you're selling a business opportunity. An opportunity for someone else to make money. And remember, sales is sales is sales. And if you're selling a business opportunity, you're simply making a trade for what you want for what the customer wants. You're going to need to persuade them that you're worthy of the investment, that you can deliver on what it is that they want. And what we're really talking about here is sponsorship. Sponsorship and engagement. They're covered in key number 2 in the book, Checkmate, Winning Tactics for Translating Ideas into Money. Now the course I'm building will be a much deeper dive on the specifics of sponsorship and engagement. And we'll probably spend 60 to 90 minutes on that topic alone. But for now, I can share the basics. So like I said, key number 2 is titled Sponsorship and Engagement. And if you're looking for capital, you're looking for a sponsor. Maybe it's a bank, maybe it's a different lending institution, maybe it's a venture capital fund, and maybe it's a private investor. The tool we use to help us in this endeavor is Gliecher's formula for change. There's a sister set of videos we created called The Pillars of Persuasion, based on Robert Cialdini's book, Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. And I'll share some of that info in a little bit. But for now, though, let's get started with Gliecher's formula. And then afterwards, I'll go through a few examples of how to apply the formula. All right, so Gliecher's formula for behavioral change. This is a formula that was created by a gentleman by the name of David Gliecher back in the 60s. He was a clinical psychologist, and he studied why people change. Because in nature, if you think about it, nature doesn't change very quickly. Water always flows downhill. It never goes over the rock. Always goes around the rock. Always goes downhill. But with people, there is this opportunity to overcome complexity. And the question is, why do some people do it and why don't some people do it? And so what he did is he put together a formula, and in a formula, there's always an operator, right? And this is a greater than or less than sign. And on the right side of this operator is R, and the R stands for resistance. And all that means is that people are resistant to change. Well, nature is resistant to change. It doesn't change very simply. It doesn't change very easily. People are resistant to change. And why are they resistant? Well, because change might take time, and it might take energy, and it might take effort. Might take money, might move you out of the comfort zone. There's all kinds of reasons why people are resistant to change. But the reality is that regardless of the change, people are always going to be resistant. And the intensity of the resistance goes up with the complexity of the change. But even really complex activities, people take on. So what's on the left side of the formula that if you put that together, you can overcome the resistance? And obviously, it's going to have a greater result than the resistance to overcome it. But what we've got on the left-hand side is D, and D stands for dissatisfaction. And that really has to do with pain. That has to do with unhappiness, right? And so if you're not happy, if you're dissatisfied, or if you're in pain, you're going to be more willing to make pain. All right, that's not enough, though. You've got to get everything on this side of the formula. The other thing is you have to have the V, and the V stands for vision. Now with vision, this has to be that state that you would achieve after the change. So you go from a place where it's painful to a place where there's no pain. That's an unhappy place to a vision. You could go to a place that's sort of okay right now to a place that's even better. And this is kind of the model that looks When we look for funding acquisition, when we look for somebody to lend us money, it's not like they are hurting for money because they have money to loan, right? So we're really going to say, hey, here's how to achieve more. So the vision is going to be a bigger component of that change than it is in some other persuasion strategies. So anyways, we got the D and we got the V, and we're going to have both of those, and the X is the multiplier, and if either one of those is 0, what happens to that side of the formula? It blows up at 0. You can't overcome resistance. You got to have both. And the last thing you have to have is you got to have the first steps. This is where you come in. If you're trying to persuade somebody else to take action, you have to tell them, what the process is and how they're going to achieve their vision. That's your job as the salesperson. And whether you're selling products and services, you're selling a business opportunity, or just any kind of behavioral change, your role is to create the first steps. Your role is to create the plan. And when you create the plan, then you overcome the resistance. Now, if the categories on the left side, the dissatisfaction and the vision and the first steps, are greater than the resistance, you'll overcome that resistance. So first steps has to do with easy. If it's easy, if it's simple, if it's effective. And at the end of the day, though, if first steps don't allow you to move your customer or your prospect from their dissatisfied state to their vision state, or from their okay state to their vision state, it doesn't work. And so when we talk about persuading somebody else, it's just that you can meet their goals, you can meet their objectives, you can meet their needs, you can satisfy their requirements with your plan. Your plan in this case might be, I need X dollars, and I'll pay you back over a certain amount of time, and you'll make a certain amount of interest, and that interest would be the vision that the lending institution or lending person is looking for. So this formula applies again and again and again. Just think about anytime you're looking for somebody to change. If you're looking for some behavior to change, for some people to take the action that you're encouraging, you can go back to Gliecher's formula and say, listen, if I understand the D's and the V's for the person that I'm talking to, for the prospect, for the customer, and I build a plan that satisfies their need and gets them to their vision, then you have a very likely occurrence for a transaction. So classically, most people look to a bank. At least that's where they look first for capital. And a bank has guidelines that minimize risk and maximize return. And your ability to get a loan is regulated mostly by your ability to repay the loan. Most banks start out with no, and then you provide enough information in the manner that they choose to where you can change the response from no to yes. And realize that the vision the bank has is that it will be very easy for you to repay the loan. And to that extent, you'll need to effectively demonstrate that you can accomplish that. A venture capital firm, on the other hand, well, they might be more interested in buying a piece of your business. They may be more interested in long-term ownership opportunities. Or a private investor. They might be interested in buying shares in your company, or they might, a percentage of the business in return for the investment, or they may be just looking for a higher rate of return because they're going to be carrying more risk than the bank can accept. They may be willing to take a percentage of the profit, or even a fixed rate of return. The important component for all of these opportunities is to thoroughly understand the D's and the V's, the pain and the vision, that the needs and the wants of your prospect, and deliver a plan that helps them achieve their goals. The more your plan or your first steps clearly and effectively satisfy the buyer's needs, the more likely a transaction will occur. All right, so now that you've seen Gliecher's formula, had a chance to review it, and review some of the applications, here are some steps that can speed you along your path to the funding that you need. Number one, evaluate your prospects. Identify the sources of capital that can satisfy your needs. And note that private sources might be a lot more prevalent and more amenable to your needs than banks. Number two, identify the needs and wants for each of their sources. Right? These are the D's and V's. Number three, review the Pillars of Persuasion video in the forum to enhance or maximize your influence opportunities. And number four, review the Champion Staircase video in the forum and build your process for converting your funding prospect into a client. And lastly, number five, identify where you need to improve your skills to more simply and effectively acquire the resources you need to get your business off the ground and expand to the level that you desire. If you'd like more information on sponsorship and engagement, or any of the other checkmate keys for translating ideas into money, send us a message in the Make the Right Moves forum. If you're not a member of the forum, then you should join us. Send us an email or give us a call, and we'll provide the details. We're here to help. So right now, I'd like you to scroll down and leave us a comment. Let me know you're here. I'd love your feedback. I work with business owners every day to make the right moves. Because when you make the right moves, winning gets a lot easier.